Hello, everyone. So we're going to talk now about some strategies of how to respond non-defensively to criticism so that you can keep your conflicts to a minimum and uh, find ways to understand the truth of what's going on in a particular disagreement or problem, and how to understand the criticism that you're receiving and whether you agree with it or not. So the first six strategies have to do with seeking more information. All right, so we're going to look at those six. And then the last two have to do with how you can agree with the critic. So all of these are designed to help you receive more clarity about the criticism, but also in order to help the other person clarify as well and have a better, more positive communication climate, because defensiveness is really the number one issue that you can take into your hands and try to do something about. So the first one is ask about specifics, and it's pretty simple. The thing is that many people get this confused with this one. So when you're looking at your examples, you just want to understand the difference between those two. So when you're asking for specifics, it's more of a you're kind of picking up something that they said, such as you never help out or you're being unfair. So if somebody said you're being unfair, you can say, what do I do that's unfair? So you don't have any specific behaviors of your own that you've offered. You're asking them to give you some specific behaviors. All right. So, and then we're going to go down to guess about specifics, which means you are going to include specific behaviors, right, that you might have. So you're going to guess about some of those. For example, you'll kind of see in these examples, the first part is a reference to the criticism, and then a guessing about a specific. So you're giving them a specific behavior that you're asking about. So you object to the language I used in writing the paper. Was my language too formal? So that is a specific behavior, asking that. So that's how it's different than the first one. The first one, again, is going to be general and just very broad and open. Whereas this one is going to be right specific. Second example, okay, I understand you think my outfit looks funny. What's so bad? Is it the color? Does it have something to do with that fit, the fabrics? You've got several specifics there that you're guessing. All right. And the last one, when you say I'm not doing my share around the house, do you mean that I haven't been helping enough with the cleaning? And you can get more specific at that, the cleaning chores I've been assigned or agreed to, or so you add those specifics. So you're bringing up the criticism. Okay. And then you're asking at least one specific behavior you're guessing, is that it? All right. And that way the speaker can respond to you and say, no, it's not that, it's this, or yes, it is that. And maybe even would explain further. All right. Paraphrasing, we know about, we've talked about that before with the active listening skills in chapter 8. So with this, again, if you read through that example, it's an excellent example of how you can paraphrase the meaning of what the person, it's not interpretation, you're just reflecting back what they've said with different words. Okay, so that possibly that will kind of open up some thinking on the other person's end of things. And if you look through that, you can see that's very skillfully done in the example. So paraphrasing in order to, again, all these have to do with gaining more information, gaining more insight about the criticism. Asking what the critic wants, that's pretty simple. All right. So if you, obviously they say these are pretty obvious, but other times they're not obvious. Other times they're vague and you're not really sure what is wanted from you. So you have to actually ask what the critic wants. So here with this first example, I can't believe you invited all those people over without asking me first. Are you saying you want me to cancel the party? All right. No, I just wish you'd ask me before you make plans. So this right here, what Brenda says, all right, she's asking, what do you want? What would you like me to change? What can I do differently? Or it can be very specific. Okay. Like this is. All right. So that is asking what that critic wants. Okay. And remember, and they remind you throughout here that your nonverbal needs to be like you care about the other person. No, you got to watch your nonverbal body language, facial expressions, tone of voice. All right. All of that, eye contact, all those things need to be sincere. All right. And ask what the critic wants. We went through, and then ask about the consequences of your behavior. And here we're talking about what are the consequences that the person that gave the criticism, what the critic, okay, what are the consequences the critic sees that they're going to have to deal with? Okay. So let's look at neighbor A and B. You say that I ought to have my cat neutered. Why is that important to you? Because at night he picks fights with my cat and I'm tired of paying the vet's bills. Okay. So the neighbor is explaining, right, the response to the critic. All right. He's giving the details. And because again, neighbor A asked, why is that important to you? And that's when neighbor B shares those consequences, what they have to deal with. Worker A and B, why do you care whether I'm late to work? Because when the boss asks, I feel obligated to make up some story so you won't get in trouble, and I don't like to lie. So why do you care? Why is it important to you? You know, what is it that's bothering you? About it, and that helps you see into the consequences of your behavior on the other person has to deal with. Ask what else is wrong. And this can be as simple as, again, you have to assume there's already been some criticism take place before these examples they give you. But like in the second one, Tina says, is anything else wrong? Again, you could say, is anything else wrong? And that would not be helpful, right? So you want to say, is anything else wrong? In other words, can we address anything else? Maybe this isn't everything you really need to say. All right. So that can help, again, clarify further, or help the critic be able to examine what they're saying more closely. And it could open up other things that need to be addressed. So, all right. Now, these last two have to do with how you can agree with the critic. And that's important because if you can agree with the critic, it helps to reduce defensiveness. And if you can reduce defensiveness, it's more likely that you can actually come to an agreement of some sort of how to work with this disagreement. So the first thing you do is go ahead and agree with the facts. That'll help a lot, because you may see, oh, wow, I really didn't even realize I was doing that. Or maybe you kind of did, but you hadn't done anything about it. So when you see that it is indisputable, yeah, just that you're right. You are right. I am here. I suppose I was being defensive. Now that you mention it, I did get pretty sarcastic, right? And this is so if there's anything true, and maybe there's part of it's true, maybe you say, well, I agree with you on this, but this other thing that you said, I don't agree with, and this is why. Okay, so I mean, but agreeing with the critic on something is important. You probably should separate those thoughts into different sentences. Okay, so you can also, let's see here, let's move on down further. I think I went too far. Okay, hold on, I'm having trouble here with navigation. Okay, agreeing with the facts. So I didn't go too far. For some reason, I was thinking I did. Agree with the critic's perception. All right. So maybe you don't agree with what they're saying at all. Maybe you do not see it. You disagree with it, and you have good reasons why. You can still agree with the critic's perception. And really what this means is you agree with the critic's right to have their own perception of the situation. And while what that does is it just places you where you're not just out and out, everything is black and white, enemies, whatever. It's saying that I can see why you would look at it that way. I can see that. All right. So look at A and B, I don't believe you've been all the places you were just describing. You're probably just making all this up to impress us. Well, I can see how you might think that. I've known people who lie to get approval. All right. C, I want to let you know right from the start that I was against hiring you for the job. I think you got it because you're a woman. D, I can understand why you believe that with all the anti-discrimination laws on the books. I hope that after I've been here for a while, you'll change your mind. So you can kind of get the idea. It says, okay, you have the right to see it that way, because then I can understand how you would see it that way. You want to kind of try to put yourself in their shoes again, right? So try to see it from their point of view. That doesn't mean you agree with their perception. All right. You agree they have the right to see it, and you should be trying to put yourself in their shoes and see it from their perception. Just understand why they're doing it. Okay. So those are the non-defensive, right, strategies to criticism. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.